Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, I wish a happy Raksha Bandhan to all of you, and I express my regrets for the inconvenience caused to you to come together on this webinar. Welcome for today's webinar on Indus Water Treaty. What next? This is being organized by the think tank Security and Policy Initiatives, SAPI. I am Pradeep Gupta, the founder of the SAPI. But before we start today's proceedings, I just like to mention certain routine points what we sell. One is that question answers will be taken once the keynote speaker ends its speech. Second is that I'll request everybody to keep your mic muted, and when you are required to speak or you want to speak, you can unmute it then. Third thing that this proceedings will be recorded just for preparing YouTube. So whatever we speak will be certainly going in the public domain. That definitely will be editing it before we release it. In case you feel that you have mentioned certain things you want to delete, you can quickly tell us. So in a few days' time, we'll prepare the YouTube and then upload it. At the outset, I welcome Shri Ashwin B. Pandya, the ex-chairman, Central Water Commission, and ex-secretary general of the International Commission for Irrigation and Drainage. I also welcome distinguished bureaucrats, academics, and students. And of course, there are some police officials. Namely, I'll just mention Mr. Raghav Chandra. He's ex-chairman of the NHI, MP Carter IAS. We have amongst us Shri Shambhunath Singh. He's an IPS of Manipur cadre. He was DGP there. Then we have Saurabh Tripathi. He's an IPS officer of India. We have amongst us Shri R.N. Mishra. He was chairman of the Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam, which is part of this, I think, Indus Water River system. And there are several others who have joined. I welcome everybody. Let me first mention something about the SAPI. SAPI is a think tank which was conceptualized and actually inaugurated in October 2021. Though the foundation work started in 2017, and we had an idea, and me and Dr. Sivithanu Pillai, who's now properly known as father of BrahMos missile, he's the founder CEO of it, and my association goes back to 2002. When this organization was being conceived, I was director in Defense Ministry, and he used to come to get the thing moving during Mr. Bajpayee's time. And I questioned to him in 2016-17 that, sir, why cannot we replicate the BrahMos example in defense other equipments? Then we thought of conceiving this particular think tank and going ahead. So we had this support of him. In the inaugural session, we had the blessing because there were other people also who have been mentoring us. Dr. Sivithanu Pillai is, of course, one. Next is late Shekhar Dutt Saab, the ex-defense secretary and ex-governor. Then Dr. Arvind Gupta, who is now director VIF. Professor Bimal Roy, outstanding cryptologist, world-renowned cryptologist. He is ex-director of ISI. And also in the inaugural session, we got support from a lot of veterans, namely General Bhatia, ex-DGMO, General Kulkarni, ex-DG Infantry, and several others. So this is a short, and SAPI is organizing webinars. It is conducting a lot of activities in form of publication, etc. Besides, we have also participated in some functions, some events in physical format, but dedicatedly, we have not organized anything. We are shortly going to do it. We got the legal status sometime in 2023, and we are full-fledged Section 8 company, and we are going ahead, and in future times, we are slowly going to grow faster in this particular domain of think tank. Besides that, we also have a YouTube channel for us. Now, coming back to the topic of Indus Water Treaty, why we chose this topic. It's a very, very important thing to know that why we have chosen. If you see, Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960. And since then, we have traveled quite along. But then, as the treaty is there. The provisions are little disadvantages to us and more advantages to Pakistan, the low riparian state. It is not the standard convention where the lower riparian state has more advantages than the upper riparian state. So Pandya Sahab will throw light on this, and of course we have Mr. Arang Mishra, who was ex-chairman of Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam. He can also throw some light on this. But due to various issues, the Indus Water Treaty status quo continued despite we had 2 wars and several operations, including the Kargil and the latest one, Sindoor also. But with the Sindoor operation, we have decided to keep this treaty in abeyance. Nevertheless, for last few years, we have been asking Pakistan to renegotiate because there are certain provisions which were proven to be a constraint to us, and certain dams we wanted to make. Now, with the abeyance, all this is now gone, and now we have to leverage it. What the decision has been taken in the by keeping the treaty in abeyance, that this particular aspect will be leveraged, so the cross-border terrorism stops. Now, how to link that, because it is not an arms and ammunition. So Pandya Sahab, it's a highly technical subject. So Pandya Sahab se request rahegi ki wo apne tan se he will be telling us that how we will be progressing on this front and how we can leverage it. Because water, flowing water controlling is the most difficult, and people say that the chalta hua pani nahi roka jata hai. So if you are stopping it, you have to divert it somewhere. So how we will do it, and how we can compel the nation across the border to come to terms and stop the cross-border terrorism. So this is the objective. Now, before I hand over to Pandya Sahab, a small brief I would like to read about Pandya Sahab. He is the ex-chairman of the Central Water Commission, and of course, Secretary General, ex-Secretary General of the ICID. Currently, he is the Professor of Practice in Dam Safety at IIT Roorkee, and also a Senior Fellow in Center for Policy Research. He is a postgraduate in Structural Engineering from IIT Delhi, and has headed the National Water Development Agency and National Projects Construction Corporation. While in the CWC, he led formulating policies, planned and designed multi-purpose water resources projects, hydropower, flood forecasting and production. There are several other aspects where he has rendered the services. He advised and supported the Government of India in legal and constitutional aspects of the international and interstate water dispute. So we feel that he is the best person or most appropriate person to throw light on this aspect. Mr. Pandya is known for the rich and extensive experience in design of dams and other structures, and is most sought after by central and state government. A leading expert of dam safety issues and in India, has managed dam safety programs, including district analysis too. He has been on the board of National Fertilizers Limited, and besides, he is on the board of the Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited. And currently, he is the president of Dam Safety Society. He has been awarded by the Central Board of Irrigation and Power, India Water Resources Society, and several other achievements he has to his credit. In his long distinguished service, he has dealt with all aspects of water resources and provided mentorship and led the large water resources engineering community towards sustainable and rational development regime in the country. He is editor-in-chief of the Water Digest, an industry magazine, and is serving as a regional chair of South Asia Water Partnership and Global Water Partnership Network. He has also edited 2 volumes of water governance and management in India. Now, this is a brief introduction, and I'll request now Pandya Sahab to give his presentation, and we'll be taking questions thereafter. Over to you, Mr. Pandya. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gupta, and welcome to all the esteemed colleagues who are also, authorities in their own right in respect of security and other related matters. Today we'll be talking about the Indus Water Treaty because that has been under a lot of focus, especially after Operation Sindoor. So we will talk about the Indus Water Treaty, and
yes, sir.
Okay, good, yeah. So let us start with this particular issue of interest today. that is the Indus Water Treaty. What next? So far, we have been having a status quo regime right from 1960 onwards, wherein we were practicing the Indus Water Treaty in its true light and spirit. Even though we were not increasingly, we were getting lesser and lesser cooperation and support from the Pakistan side, and of late it had actually come to a kind of a standstill, if I so say. So this was a kind of a time when we were also at the end of our tether as far as the Indus Water Treaty was concerned, and then the Operation Sindoor prompted us to keep it in abeyance. This is I would say that this is also a very important stroke of keeping it in abeyance rather than the outright abrogation. Even though there are a lot of people who will be saying that why didn't we abrogate? Why didn't we only want to do abeyance? So let us start with the overall situation. You see, as far as the India is concerned, the India is a land of transboundary basins. Because of the political division that occurred in 1947 and the colonialism that we suffered earlier than that, our boundaries got drawn in a manner that hydrologically the South Asian subcontinent actually got kind of divided in the hydrological sense. As you can see, our major basins are all very, very international, like the Indus Basin, which we are talking today. You look at even the Ganga Basin, which is one of the most important basin for the country, the Brahmaputra Basin. So the transboundary issues with India are quite important, and these issues started right from 1947 onwards. So we have a very, very, very important aspect of looking at the international aspects of the basins and our water management strategies. Right if you will be remembering, right, even slightly before 1947, we already had concerns about the Indus water distribution, and the fact remains that there were very important strains that were occurring about redrawing the boundaries in our Pakistan-India boundary area from water point of view. Same was the case on our eastern border, where we were on the verge of losing Farakka to Bangladesh or then the East Pakistan, and we maneuvered it in a manner that we could see that this particular thing doesn't happen, and we were able to really achieve that. So the transboundary issues are very much there, even though they do not come so much in the limelight like a regular war. So now let us look at the Indus system of rivers. The Indus system of rivers basically becomes that of the 5 rivers, starting from the Indus in the north, and then the Jhelum, and then Chenab, and then Ravi, Bias, and Satluj. We basically distinguish the Ravi, Bias, and Satluj as eastern rivers, and the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab as western rivers. Now, one of the very interesting part of this treaty is that we, rather than dividing the water resources in a rational manner, we have actually divided the territories where the water occurs, and then allowed the water occurring over certain specific parts of the territory to go to the downstream to Pakistan, and then retain certain water that occurs within certain territories to India. There has been a rationale about it, but we will not go too much into that rationale because that will also lead us to another kind of a debate. But the fact remains is that we were in a very precarious situation as far as our food security was concerned. We had a huge influx of the population in especially in our northwest area, which had to be gainfully employed, and for that the water resources were the kind of the lifeline, because if we do not do that, then the parts of the Punjab that were part of India, those parts were already drought prone, and we had a lot severe water stress. We had certain plans starting from 1920s about putting in Bakra Dam in position. But then the finances were rather limited. The technological and the managerial help was also needed from the outside the countries, and those things were also one of the reasons that we thought that let us resolve this issue in a manner so that we are able to use the water immediately where we are needing it the most. So this was one of the backgrounds why we got into these negotiations regarding the Indus Water Treaty. Second thing was that certain parts, like especially the Bikaner state that had come into India, had come with a conditionality that they will be getting the support of Indus waters in their territories. And to the extent that one of our former chairmen, probably the second chairman of the Central Water Commission in 1945 or 47 period, he was sent as a representative of the state of Bikaner to Lord Mountbatten to tell that if we do not get the Firozpur headworks in our territory and we do not get the benefit out of the Firozpur headworks, and it goes to Pakistan, then in that case, the Bikaner would like to join Pakistan rather than join India. So that was the kind of seriousness that had occurred behind the scenes, even though it was not put too much into the limelight in the later stages. So the Indus Treaty is very important to us because we got the three rivers in a unrestrained manner. But still, the heartburn of having given away a lot to our neighboring country was very much there. So this is the Indus River. As the geography stands today, we have a rather restricted use of the Indus waters because they largely pass through the Ladakh, and then we have a land boundary feature of watershed divide between the Indus and the mainland India, and transferring the Indus proper waters back into India is a challenge. And we do not have, with the kind of territory that we are holding today, we do not have adequate amount of possibilities of creating a relatively large storage on Indus with which we can directly use them. But then the other two, that is the Jhelum and Chenab, are the real water resources as far as the entire Indus system in India and Pakistan is concerned. And there we have been able to compromise by providing a kind of a stipulation that we will use it for the hydropower with certain stipulations, and we will not do a consumptive use beyond a limit. Now the abeyance is in the long run. Abeyance will all have to be about the denial of these benefits to Pakistan, and this is one of the main issues that we need to really look at, because we have been able to do certain amount of developments on Ravi, Bias, and Satluj, but then these parts are very much in our right, and we don't have to really look at anything else. So this is the snapshot of the treaty where we have the rights to exploit the entire yield of 33 million acre feet on the three eastern rivers of India, that is the Satluj, Ravi, and Bias. And on western rivers, that is the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, which has an average yield of 135 million acre feet, the India has the following rights. That is the unrestricted rights of power generation, develop irrigation facility up to 13.43 lakh acres. This was primarily looking at the overall agroclimatic situation that prevails in the Kashmir Valley, and also partly in the Jammu region. And this was, at that time, it was considered that this will meet the local demands. But then of late, we find that we are really needing much more than what we have bargained for. Then we were also allowed the non-consumptive usages like navigation, flood protection, very important part, flood protection and fishing. And then the domestic use for drinking and industrial purposes, and storage of water up to 3.6 million acre feet. Now, these are the things that we got as a part of the treaty. And even though we were kind of proactive in respect of the eastern rivers, and we could bring in a unified system we developed in respect of the Bhakra Bias Management Board, wherein we have the Bhakra with 5.83 million acre feet, Thain and Pong. Bhakra and Pong belongs to the management under the Bhakra Bias Management Board, whereas the Thain is remaining under the control of the Punjab Irrigation Department. But then this entire issues are primarily required for the water management of the entire Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Delhi, and the entire sort of northwest India. So we are having certain other developments also, like we have been able to resolve certain issues in respect of the eastern rivers, and we have been able to bring it to a rational kind of a development, even though we can do a lot. In respect of Pakistan, a very peculiar situation exists. When the rivers enter the Pakistan area, primarily they enter the plain areas, and they don't have very good sites for storages. So Pakistan has been able to create two very major projects, that is the Tarbela on Indus and Mangla on Jhelum River. And these two happen to be one of their mother reservoirs, with which they are trying to manage the water resources. Apart from that, they have a large number of barrages. Most of them have been constructed in the earlier days when we were under colonization, and English people had developed this Punjab irrigation system in respect of the Western Punjab. And this particular part is largely the diversion projects, which are basically unable to really storage a very large quantum, but whenever there is a water in the river, they divert that water through the canals, and that is how they have been able to manage their water resources. This has been one of their concerns because of the fact that the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, if we create the storages on our side, then we may be able to deny them certain benefits. They have a huge command area on these rivers, including the western and eastern rivers. Because in eastern rivers, peculiarly, we also are having certain amount of the similar problem. Like when the river, Satluj River, emerges out of the Nangal headworks, the entire area is completely flat, and we don't get any storages. Whereas same thing happens in respect of the Bias also, and partly in respect of the Ravi as well. So what happens is that the rainfall that actually occurs on the Punjab region, which is also quite substantial, some amount of surplus flood waters eventually lands up going to Pakistan. So even though we are not treaty bound to provide any waters to Pakistan from the eastern rivers, but we are constrained to provide those waters because of various reasons, especially the development of the smaller water resources projects, and also the smaller diversion schemes. Even though we have been trying to restrict this particular usage to the extent possible, but still, you can look at the situation that Pakistan was building the Cholistan Canal. They had already obtained a loan for Cholistan Canal, especially if you see that was starting from in the Satluj River, from the downstream of this Suleiman Ki Weir, and where they would have been diverting further waters of Indus into their Punjab area, which was a very major source of interstate tensions within the Pakistan itself. So even though we do not have a very immediate kind of a situation of turning off the tap like kind of a situation, but we have created a very strong interstate tensions within Pakistan by virtue of having this threat of turning off this tap. And that is creating a lot of tensions between the provinces of Sindh and Punjab, even Balochistan and Punjab. And this is a very serious problem that they will have to face. Right now they are keeping it suppressed, but that problems have come to light when they were negotiating regarding Cholistan Canal with the World Bank. So be that as it may, we do not really want to get in over there. But then, as we can see, the rivers have got a substantial amount of irrigated area on the Pakistan side, and this is the only irrigated area in the entire Pakistan that they have, on which they depend for their food and partially the energy security. Because if you remember, you not only need water for agriculture, but you also need water for power generation, because without hydropower, you are unable to balance your grid and you are unable to give a reliable power supply. Also, the thermal power needs continuous supply of water all the time in order to provide for the base power. Same is the case with nuclear power. So water is a very important ingredient in power, even if we do not realize it too much and think power is a kind of a separate resource. So when we are keeping this in abeyance, we are not only impacting their water security, but we are also impacting their power or energy security as well in an indirect way. And a very substantial command area is there. Now, when you have the irrigation as one of the benefits, the crucial part that occurs is that water has a dimension of time and space. This is an issue which is not really very much appreciated otherwise. The fact remains is that you not only need water in a specific quantity, but you need that specific quantity at specific points of time. If you do not have that at that specific point of time, and you are unable to manage it when it actually remains available to you, then that water is as good as not given to you. Because then your agriculture will fail. You need particular amount of water in a particular period of a week or 10 days in order to keep the crops in survival. Otherwise, your crops will either deteriorate in their yield, or they will be also not giving you the amount of output that you actually expected out of the area that you sowed. And this is a very serious thing, because if you do this, then the entire agricultural cycle gets disrupted and your economy gets disrupted. The comparative to the India, the agricultural economy in Pakistan is a much larger share of their GDP compared to India. And because of that, this particular issue is something where the abeyance is going to strike. Now, the development on Western rivers we have got these permitted 9.12 lakh acres are created out of the 13.43 lakh acres after the storage, and present irrigated crop area is only about 8 lakh acres. So these are something that we are really able to look. We are needing to look ourselves into the mirror and say that whatever we got from the treaty, have we really used it? There have been reasons. There have been reasons of the separatism. There have been reasons of the law and order situation and the insurgency situation that we faced in the Western Rivers area, which has kind of created a situation where we were not able to move in the direction in which we actually wanted to move. So the storage wise also, we are still pretty behind. Like we have created a storage of we are only 0.09 million acre feet out of what has already been permitted of 3.6 million acre feet. And this 3.6 million acre feet, if it is used in a rational manner, even without abeyance, we can create problems for Pakistan, which we have not created. That is the kind of good natured thinking that India had vis-a-vis the Pakistan general public. We have also not been able to complete the hydropower allocation. That is 18,000 and odd megawatts of hydropower can be produced. We have basically put in about 3,500, but now we are going in a major push for going into the further development, and we will have a substantial amount of hydropower that will come through if we persist on this part. The hydropower is coming with certain kind of restrictions, and those restrictions are the ones which are there in an Annex D of the Indus Water Treaty, and they make very interesting reading, because right at that time also Pakistan had a very strong kind of a fear that we will deny them the water in this manner, as I told you earlier, that we will deny them the water in a timely manner. So they made a lot of restriction on the development of hydropower. They said that you cannot store the water more than 7 days requirement. Within the 7 days, the same water that you received in a hydropower project in India, in the western rivers, you will have to release it back into the river so that it lands up going to Pakistan. So in that manner, it becomes a kind of a situation where we have got a kind of a no control over the water that is stored behind the dam in order to optimize our hydropower generation. Similarly, the gates are required to be placed at the highest possible level in order to see that we do not deplete the storages in what we call the minimum, below the minimum drawdown level, and create any kind of a flooding situation. And this has been one of the very major problems of survival of those projects. The Salal is a great example, where we had to, in those days, in 70s, we had to succumb to their demands and close down the river sluices. And in the process, Salal storage got filled up within a very few years completely. And as of now, we have very marginal storage that exists at Salal for the power generation. So these are the real constraints that we were placed with in respect of western rivers, and that has created a lot of problem. We have been doing the hydropower developments in the western rivers. Of late, we again started it back into this game, and we have got number of projects that are already there in our pipeline, which are the kind of major projects, out of which now the Kwar, the Dulhasti, Kishanganga, Baglihar, Kwar, Kiru, Pakaldul, and Ratle. All of these are facing lot of problems from Pakistan in terms of the adjudication, the neutral expert. We had a very strong case in respect of Baglihar, and we won the case. But in case of Kishanganga, there has been certain kind of a compromise, because they ended up bringing in the environmental angle into it. And then Kwar, Kiru, Pakaldul, Ratle, they are still under struggle in the case of these projects. Multiple kind of options are trying to be exploited by Pakistan, which is also in a way a violation of the treaty, because there have been certain mechanisms that have been specified, like you either go to a neutral expert, then you go to a court of arbitration. But in case of these projects, the court of arbitration as well as neutral expert, everything has been released on India at the same time, and we have faced a lot of a problematic situation on this account. So these issues are something that are actually hampering the development of hydropower in the region. The second major issue that the particular treaty provisions create the problem is that of the silt management, because in those days we were not having a good technology. Now I'm talking about the period of like 1950s to 60s, when we were negotiating this treaty. We were not having a very good kind of a technology. Not only us, even the world was also not having that much amount of technology to build very high gates and to build lower level outlets with very high heads operating on them. And that created a problem. By having the gates, by putting the gates at the highest level, the major part of the storage ends up getting into a kind of a situation where the storage gets filled up with the silt in very early years, and then the run of the river project creates a problem. Even though the capacity remains, the generation doesn't remain balanced. When we need those generation during the peaking hours, we are not really able to provide that much amount of generation. So these issues are very much there because of the treaty provisions, and they are creating a lot of problem, because Pakistan is refusing to acknowledge the new technological developments and take them in good faith in order to see that the projects are able to perform in the economic manner, which was also one of the requirements of the Indus Treaty, that India will be allowed to develop and manage the hydropower in an economically consistent manner, which is getting jeopardized. So in a way, the treaty violations are happening not only from India, but actually from Pakistan. They are much more than what we are actually asking for. So the abeyance was at the right time, because we were facing a lot of other situations in respect of Ratle and others. So now these are the limitation of the present development plans, that these are all run-of-the-river projects. We have not been able to create the storages, and we can actually create the storages, which we are exploiting those sites in run-of-the-river projects kind of thing, and that is creating a lot of problem. So we have to have a strategy wherein the abeyance or otherwise, we must first catch up on already existing provisions. Like, say, for example, Bursar project, which is one of the major storage projects on Chenab. We have been talking about this project at least since last about 30 years or so. And still, we are not finalizing the site. We have not been able to, work on this. Similar is the case with another project, which is actually coming in the eastern river side, that is Shapur Kandi project. We have been able to commission this project as late as just last 2 or 3 years. And Uj project, where again we need to really store and stop all the Ravi waters going into Pakistan. We have not yet made that much amount of a progress. We need to have even second Ravi Bias link, which we have been talking, but there the issues are more of an interstate nature, and we are not really finding that kind of a positive kind of atmosphere for sorting out those issues. So abeyance will have to help us in sorting out these particular issues as well. So how do we really operate this abeyance? Because as I said, now we have been having a very big roadblock in the optimal development, and the influence of unconnected ideologies have resulted in non-optimal solutions. So one of the major work that we can do now is that, since we are now insisting and we are implementing the low-level outlets on the hydropower projects, the desilting operations are very important. The best way you can desilt a run-of-the-river project is by doing the drawdown flushing. Now, when you do the drawdown flushing, basically we do it in the receding limb of the hydrograph. That means when the floods are receding, or the monsoon flows are now at their end. So the amount of flows available are not very much, and at that time we have to draw down the entire live storage in order to see that the silt that has got deposited and it's still loose is attracted by these low level outlets, and then it goes out of the storage of the project storage. And this particular thing, this desilting manner, if we can operate in a counter-cyclical manner, then what can happen is that the transition period of October, November, when the paddy planting or the paddy harvesting is complete and your wheat production or the wheat sowing is in the beginning stage, you can deny a substantial part of water to Pakistan, and this can create a lot of problem from their food staple point of view. Similar is the case that if we have a lot of releases, especially combining with the post flood kind of a situation, then what may happen is that we will provide all the water that is there, but then at that point of time, the issue of where to store that water will force Pakistan to let that water go down the drain. In fact, in an indirect way, we will help this to the downstream provinces like Sindh and Balochistan. Because what will happen is that the upstream projects that are there in the part of the NWFP and Punjab will not be able to store the water, and forcibly they will have to let down that water down into the Indus, which can then be used beneficially by the Sindh province of Pakistan. So in a way, this will also have a kind of a beneficial effect on creating an interstate kind of a situation in Pakistan. And these situations are very important because, as you know, the Punjab province is the real agricultural heartland of Pakistan, and the entire army is having huge land holding personally as well as through institutionally into Punjab area. They have grabbed lands to an enormous extent, and because of that, their agricultural lifeline is very important, because they, with the agricultural outputs, they are able to really tweak those figures and then can also launder a lot of money, which is generating out of the black kind of economy that is very much prevalent in Pakistan. So if you do not have good production, if you do not have good sustainability of these agricultural operations in a roundabout manner, we will also be attacking at the economic basis of Pakistan. So operation in a counter-cyclical manner is something that is very, very important, and we need to really look at that. Even apart from the fact that the diversion will of course lead to the kind of abrogation or violation of the treaty, but still the fact remains is that even without diversion, if we create the good amount of storages in Chenab Basin especially, because Jhelum also has restrictions in creating this kind of storages, but Chenab has got ample opportunities, and Chenab is the one which is actually giving you the regular yield into Pakistan. So this aspect has to be worked on. In fact, I have a very strong opinion that we should completely relook at the designs of the Ratle project, which is nearing completion, and also the Sawal Court project that we have recently we have recently given the approval to, and then the other projects, wherein we should look at very seriously that how we can actually create a larger storage than this treaty allowed storage, and converting them into a storage project will be beneficial not only to us, because we will be able to generate a lot of base power, which is quite required, especially in case of the J&K, because in case of J&K, during the winter seasons, because the flows diminish and the power demands go up, the hydropower generation becomes relatively less, and they have to import power. So we can actually provide them with their in-house or with their in-state resources, with which they can save money on importing power from the outside, and that way their sustainability and their comfort during the harsh winter months can also increase. And we have to strengthen our irrigation systems in Chenab Basin, which we have not been doing very much. So this is something that is required. And then once we have got the storages, we will have the capability of operating them in a counter-cyclical manner. In a ROR project, operating in a counter-cyclical manner is very, very difficult, because as you said, as you have seen, at the maximum, you can manage it for 7 days. And then within those 7 days, your storages will all get full, and then you will end up spilling, and the water will eventually end up going downstream. So this is one of the very important part, that we have a handle over it, and we have an immediate handle over it. Because within about, if we can work well, within about 5 years' time, we can actually come up with these two major projects of Ratle and Sawalkot. And the dam itself, even though the powerhouse may not have come, if the dam is highly prioritized and created, the storage generation and the counter-cyclical operations can begin. But we will have to persist with this abeyance for at least coming 5 to 7 years in order to see that we create this effect on Pakistan. And this is why Pakistan has been repeatedly asking for negotiations, and then they are trying to create a lot of halla-gulla about their own problems. So these aspects are something that is very, very important. Secondly, if you look at the topography, we have got the opportunity of diverting the Chenab flows into Ravi, and then eventually into Bias also, and into the mainland India. Even though we have got this particular facility, we are not really pushing it, right away, because for diverting those things, we need storages, and storages can come with abeyance, but the diversion will end up creating an abrogation. So rather than going into the abrogation right away without having any infrastructure in place, we have gone into the abeyance, so that with this abeyance, we can say that our basic aim of generating hydropower in an economic manner is not getting satisfied. So we are creating certain kind of devices with which we are able to do it for the resources that are at our disposal. And that will create already, as I said, with the counter-cyclical operation, a good amount of problem if we persist with it in its all our sincerity for oncoming 5 to 10 years. So this is something that is the real benefits of abeyance. And this is the chart of path that we have to have in oncoming 5 or 7 years in order to see that there are material effects on Pakistan. There will also be material effects on Pakistan if we also operate these projects in a counter-cyclical manner. And for that, we will need to have some kind of a unified operation policy, especially for the hydropower projects on Chenab River across the operators, because we have had multiplicity of operators in this part. Like Baglihar is owned by different entities, the Salal is owned by different entities, and like that. So we will have to have at the governmental level, we will have to have a kind of a situation where we will need to have a kind of a coordinated generation policy, which may not be the most economical power generation policy, but it will be one of the very important counter-cyclical policy. And these policies will have to be put in a very dynamically. That means we may do it unpredictably. In a year we may do it, in a year we may not do it. And that is how we have to create a kind of a problem for Pakistan through the abeyance. So this is the kind of a next steps that we need to take. We also need to take the next steps in respect of settling our interstate issues. We have got large amount of interstate issues. You all know about it. I hardly need to really talk about it. Of the Bhakra Bias river management systems, wherein we have got issues with Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan, and all that. And we need to really settle these issues, because if we do not settle these issues, then the water that will be bringing in will again end up going through other systems back into Pakistan. So it is very, very important for us to also look at seriously of the situation within the country also, in order to see that we are able to take the maximum benefits out of the abeyance that we are creating. So these are the kind of strategies that we need to build. Already government is in an active mode to look at these strategies, like we have been identifying some of the sites where the diversion from Chenab to Ravi or to Bias can take place. That can also come with some added advantages of the power generation, and also strengthening the systems within these basins. And then our canal systems will have to be really expanded, in order to see that we are able to convey that water to those Indian demanding areas. Simultaneously, we have to seriously look at our storage management strategies in our ROR projects in Chenab Basin, and then see that those operations are to the best extent possible. For that, we will also need to keep a very strong eye on the agricultural developments in real time that is happening in Pakistan, because that is the one which will give us a kind of a signal for doing our counter-cyclical kind of operations. And these are relatively easy to really look at and implement. So these parts are something that we need to really look at. We also need to look at the creation and also assessment in real time of the data about the cultivation that is occurring, the yields that are occurring, and then create a kind of a tension within Pakistan between their provinces, in order to see that there are situations which remain very much on the boil as far as the Indus waters are concerned. So these are the overall situations that we need to really look at, and we need to worry about. So on the whole, I have tried to give a kind of a overall brief view of the kind of options that we have, and how we can really exploit those options. But then the fact remains is that the abeyance is for long term. We are playing a long term game. We are not doing a short term thing. Like, there is no kind of immediately, like, you cannot say that in the coming June we would be completely stopping the water. But then, if we persist with it for a reasonable period of time, we will be able to make a material impact on the Chenab waters. And the Chenab waters are very important, because the Indus waters through the Tarbela Dam and through the main Indus River have already been heavily over allocated already within Pakistan, and there are a lot of tensions. So you do not have to really worry much about it. They have got their own fights to attend to, which we can, of course, kind of inflame. But the Chenab yields are very, very important, because that will give you a very, very important handle over the water management in Punjab province. And that Punjab province water management is something that is the crucial lifeline for the survival of Pakistan and also Pakistan army. That is why I was not surprised when the Asim Munir said that Kashmir is our jugular vein, because jugular vein is not Kashmir. They have got hardly anything for Kashmir. They actually are caring for the water, and water is their jugular vein. And they have always been afraid, right before from 1947 onwards, about this particular vein being pinched. So the abeyance is giving us an opportunity to pinch this vein. And once we pinch this vein, there will be a kind of a impact, which will be a long-term impact. So thank you very much for your attention. I probably have gone ahead and used a little more time, but then there are issues. If we would have ended up going into more details, then I would have been able to provide you with more. But then it is quite difficult. Similar is the kind of situation that we are having in respect of Ganga. And similar is the kind of situation that we will have to discuss someday about the Brahmaputra. Brahmaputra also is an immediate problem, and there also we will have to have a strategy which is not yet fully appreciated by the people, and but we will be working on that in future. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share a few thoughts, and I hope that you would have been able to appreciate the issues at hand. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pradeep Gupta, for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you, Pandya Sahab. Thank you very much. And he rightly told in the end that Brahmaputra thing, because China is going ahead with the Sanko Dam. And to information of everybody, Pandya Sahab in his entire career, he has been to both that site also on the China side as well as Siam. And he has given a very, in my informal discussions earlier while running for this particular webinar, insights in the Brahmaputra thing. So in near future, we'll be also organizing an event, a webinar on Brahmaputra, that how they are going to influence it. But coming to this particular today's webinar, Pandya Sahab has highlighted a very important aspect, that how we should be controlling the entire Indus Water River system, the eastern part and the western part also, because eastern part we are not utilizing, though it is in our share, and the western part also for the Chenab control and how we can impact them. Because every country has intra problem also, and certain things he has shared, which I'll mention in the concluding. Now, we are open for the question and answers, and if there are any questions, you are free to ask. Kindly go ahead with the questions. Any questions?
Pandya Sahab, I have a question.
Yeah.
What are the short-term remedies available to Pakistan in the light of the action that we have taken of suspending the treaty? Is there anything that they can do, A, to resolve the issue at their level by helping their farmers or resolving issues for their farmers by undertaking short-term measures? And B, in terms of retaliation in the short term for the action that we have taken, strategic retaliation. Because they say that an act like this is an act of war. So what is it that you think that they can attempt to do in this kind of scenario?
Yeah. The short-term measure that they can take is that they can actually create a certain amount of offline storages, and then create a certain amount of flood flow canals, with which the flood waters are also tapped and kept at the some kind of an offsite kind of a manner. This can be done in a limited way, because the time window available is very short, and you may have to do even pumping in order to sort of capture some of these waters. The second thing that they can do is that optimizing the water use. But then optimizing the water use is a very, very difficult socio-political kind of situation in any country, especially including Pakistan. And because of that, the short-term remedies they have rather limited. In the long term, they do have this kind of remedies which they can look at. They will also have to look at the redesigning this especially the Bangla and Tarbela dams, and creating more storages back into it, because these storages have also depleted. Then another Kalabag dam was another dam that would have come up, but at this point of time, they don't have too much of a handle over the situation. If we are able to put this particular measures in place. but the severity of the measures will not be too much. In the sense that they will still, I believe that they will still have a kind of an impact in the range of about 20% of their outputs, but making a very major impact in the order of 50% or so will require strong storage backbone in our Chenab basin, and then also some of the diversion proposals. In
Thank
long
you.
term, they will also have because of their other areas, they have the kind of funding opportunities from the World Bank, and World Bank and other multilateral institutions can also pour in money in these places. But then that is something which will have to be seen. How they can actually, look at that sustainability with their economic condition.
Yeah, Vidivar is having a question.
Yeah.
Hey,
Vidivar, go ahead.
question, and it's actually a two-parter. So, first part is like, how do we see China in this equation? Because many of our rivers actually originate in China, and they actually control, many of our sources of our river. As for the second part, like what kind of support or pushback we can expect from other countries who actively support Pakistan and India.
Yeah. Number one, this particular thinking of river having a source is actually a kind of a misnomer. River is not like a gutter where you put a outlet at the upstream end, and then the water flows through it. The sources of Indus in Pakistan, in China, and sources of Satluj in China are all characterized by water by the rain shadow areas. They hardly have any kind of very very large amount of rain over there. They have mostly the snow melt, and the overall contribution of China into the yield of Indus system, to my mind, it is something like, say, marginal. The Satluj has got a very narrow kind of a small course in respect of China, and Indus does have a long course in China, and also the occupied China. I mean, Indian occupied territories. But then the issue is that the opportunities are not really too much over there. So China cannot really play too big a part, even though if we try to renegotiate the treaty in international terms, then the issue will be that China, being a co-basin state, will try to muscle itself into the dialogue, saying that we are also a basin state of this. At that particular time, we will have a problem. So we have got a very intelligent manner of keeping this in abeyance, because we are not reopening the treaty. If we renegotiate the treaty, or if we try to kind of abrogate the treaty and then create a new treaty, then we have got this, but we will not do it. We should not do it. That is what I believe, because by doing that we are trying to create extraneous influences like this. Then the environmental sustainability, we have already suffered in respect of Kishan Ganga. When we have gone to this kind of court of arbitration, one of the judges was actually an environmentalist, and in the process he created an issue, and then unfortunately some of the activists on the India side also ended up picking up this issue, and I was very very aghast in 2011 and 12 when we were talking about the environmental flows in Chenab Basin while giving the approvals to the hydropower projects. It is a tragic thing. I mean, because environmental flow is something that you cannot consume. So essentially, you are giving a kind of a base flow to Pakistan. I mean, what kind of thing we are talking about? Same is the case of Brahmaputra. I will not go into that at this point of time. So the issue is that this part we don't have to worry too much about China, especially in case of Indus. We hardly have to worry about them in case of Indus, and we have the capability to manage whatever China does in Brahmaputra. But anyway, that apart.
He has the second question about international participation. That did you the second part?
Yeah, like what like support or backlash we can expect from other countries, specifically the ones that support Pakistan. Currently, I say US, in great support to Pakistan. So, what kind of pressure or
Actually,
is
in case of water resources, now India, from the technology point of view and capability point of view, is at the top. After the Sardar Sarovar debacle, we have stopped taking any external funding in water resources in India, except for very soft measures like data collection and this and that. So, in fact, we hardly are giving any handle at all to any country outside India about this about these aspects. So they can't really do it directly in respect of this thing. They can probably do it in some other issues, but as far as this particular issue is concerned, they can do nothing.
okay? Thank you.
Sir. Any other question? I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
One is that what you rightly told that we have kept the agencies out now, but nevertheless, Indus Water Treaty, we always see the Kebab Handi as a World Bank thing. Now, World Bank is part of it, and they try to muscle. Sometimes this is a different time that we have good management there, but then we should be prepared for some bad days also. So, can we say that India-Pakistan issues are being discussed bilaterally only? So, why this World Bank? Can we remove it at this juncture, because Court of Arbitration is coming up and giving some judgment against the Kishan Ganga project, and big project where millions and billions of rupees are involved in execution, and then they are stalled. So that's what I have a point that can we remove it and we say only it will be India-Pakistan, and let Pakistan come to us, and then we will see that first you stop the terror, and then we will talk to you. And second part is, sir, is this that you have rightly told we have to create some base in some storage in the Chenab. So some kind of ballpark figure of the expenditures, time, how much will be required for this in this. So there are two parts of the question, sir. World Bank and this.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. The World Bank part is actually because the World Bank kind of acted as a mediator, acting as an agency of the United States in those days. So the World Bank has only a part of providing the neutral experts or providing the mechanisms for adjudication. They are not part of any kind of decision-making process in these adjudications. So World Bank's role is actually limited. World Bank's role is limited to the extent that they can only say Pakistan can only go to the World Bank to ask for nomination of a neutral expert, or to ask for referring the case to a court of arbitration. Beyond that, there is nothing much. World Bank doesn't really come in any executive manner. World Bank can definitely, look at the funding, but then we are not really utilizing World Bank funding to the extent that is required in the respect of water resources. And as far as the Asian Development Bank is concerned, we do not really take much money from them in the northeast part. So and we now, as far as the ballpark figures are concerned, I don't think we are looking at enormous amount of figures. We are basically looking at a investment of something like, say, about 80 to 90,000 crore rupees over a period of 7 to 8 years, which is like 10,000 crore rupees a year, which is not really too much. The problem is that we have created under this environmental influence that prevailed on us especially starting from somewhere around like 1986, 87, and going up to 2014. The hurdles that we created for ourselves are something that are serious, and they have to be removed in order to see that the rational development takes place.
So there are several more questions I have in mind, but then I'll not take much time. It's already 1 hour. We have started. So if there are no questions, then I'll just convey the thanks and then wind up this thing. At the outset, I thank Mr. Pandya for enlightening us with the how this issue can be leveraged by us in the short term as well as long term, and to have an impact on the neighboring country, so they fall in line and stop the terrorism. Well, that is the till that time we have to push them against the wall. That is very important, and we have very finely brought out the distinction between the abeyance and the abrogation. And yes, we were also thinking that why didn't they abrogate? That once they abrogate, then China will certainly muscle in. So that's what we don't want. And we have got a very wise decision by this present government has been taken to keep it in abeyance, and we have to leverage it. Another thing, what you are telling, that inter-river sharing will not be done, but then nevertheless we'll create the pools to tap and divert the water to the river, to the canals, and use in our different states, because already Punjab is having water problem, Delhi is having water problem, and Haryana. If Haryana and Punjab get the water, then they can share that water with us in the Delhi. Delhi also has a problem in peak summers, even the sowing season, and the UP also, Rajasthan also. So they will get more water. It's a very good thing. That power generation will improve, the agriculture will improve, and water, irrigation water will be available. And at the same time, the major objective will be to bring the neighboring country to yields, and by striving that, putting that country into a position where they are bereft of the water required for them. When they require water, we don't give. When they don't require water, we give them water. So this is a counter-cyclical thing. What you have mentioned is a very good technique, and hope the decision makers will take note of it once the YouTube is made. In the end, I would particularly thank you for sparing your valuable time and preparing for this particular webinar. I thank Mr. Raghav Chandra, who is the chairman IAS of the MP cadre and ex-chairman of NHAI. Mr. Shambhunath Singh, as I mentioned, he's an ex-IPS officer, DGP of Manipur. Mr. Saurabh Tripathi, who is still there, he's an IPS in the special DG rank, and Mr. R.N. Mishra, the ex-chairman of the Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam. Mr. Nana Sahib Patil, who joined but left, he is also an IAS and Agriculture Secretary of the Maharashtra government, and an outstanding officer, has done a lot of work in the agriculture sector in Maharashtra government. And of course, my boss, ex-boss, Mr. Pankaj Chaturvedi, who is also here, and the various academics and the other students, etc., who have joined here. Thank you very much for giving a patient hearing and participating in this. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And if there are any more questions or any other issues that you would like to discuss, you can always contact me through SAPI. Mr. Sanjay Sarang will be able to send them back to me, or send it to me, and then I can we can discuss. There will be no issue. Thank you very much.
Once the YouTube is made, sir, we'll be putting your contact details to direct LinkedIn through also, and otherwise if there is anything. So people can contact him. YouTube will have all the details, and then you can go ahead with this thing. And we'll also be organizing a webinar later on the Brahmaputra river thing, because that is a very, very critical thing. And if the China is taking time, we will also take time, and we'll be also competing, and they'll will do it such a way that the Chinese dam will have almost zero impact on us. So that kind of strategy we have to make. So they may spend money, but then if they wanted to spend money to teach us a lesson, that will not work. That's what I want to mention. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.